I think so. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dercum's Answers interview show. Tonight, we have Juanita Parrish with us, and we are excited to hear her story. And I think that's where we're just going to start it, right?
Yep. You got to get me started though on a question, and I'll fly from there.
All right. So the first one is, when is the first time that you can remember being in chronic pain?
The first time I remember being in chronic pain is probably 2017. I've been in pain and like ill most of my
Mhm.
life. Pneumonia at 5. I mean,
So,
we're
like
talking
a lot of us in and out, weird
yeah,
episodes. Yeah.
different things. The migraines at 12, and tonsils, out of control, always sick in my
Consults, me too.
teens. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then tonsils out, and then it's like you'd get one thing under control and then something else would happen. And I
Mhm.
continued that path to be very strong and say, I'm going to fight. And I would be, I was always advocating, like, okay. And then I started getting really heavy, like I was gaining 10 pounds a year.
Mhm.
And I got to a point where I was busting out of a size 16. And so, okay, next step, we're going to reset the body. We're going to have gastric sleeve. That's what I chose to do. And we're going to change our eating, and we're going to get this weight off, and then we're going to reset our body. And but it was right after that, all that I was doing
Mhm.
the treadmill.
Mhm.
Then I started feeling pain in my hips, and I started going to doctors. And um, I was finally, after months of chronic pain, and my eye almost burst from eating homemade salsa, mast cell. I didn't know I had mast cell then, but she was like, "You have inflammation really, really bad, and you're going to lose that eye if you don't put eye drops every hour for at least 24 hours." And
Wow.
so that led me to the rheumatologist that diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. And from that point, like months prior to that, like I was having these, what you call the flares, right? The flare ups from the barometric pressures and all of those things. And that's really the first time I felt chronic pain,
Mhm. Mhm.
was 2017. So
Wow.
yeah.
So what symptoms specifically led you to seeking out kind of the Dercum's-ish diagnosis?
So the fibromyalgia stayed with me off and on for years, but I felt like I had gotten a handle on it. And I I've had a lot of trauma through the years, and I was going through a divorce. And these are things that I have put together now, is that the the house that I was in had a little bit of mold in the window, very tiny. But I think that contributed to the start of the worse, as they say. And I couldn't handle, at that point, I couldn't handle being in smoky rooms like a casino. Um, I was having panic attacks at home. And then, I got sober. So I've been sober for 3 years. But at that time, I was newly sober. So it was very traumatic going through a divorce, getting sober, um, you know, uh, relying on my faith a little bit heavier than ever before. And I started to get sick, like like the like I had a cold flu, like it was worse. And then I had vertigo, and all these things were just starting to combine. And then I went on a diet which was more like just protein based, because of the I learned about intermittent fasting at that time.
Mm.
Intermittent fasting comes in. I start eating just mostly proteins at that time, and I got better. And so I was doing really good. I was at a good weight. everything was going really, really good. And then to add to that, I got back together with my husband, remarried him because we divorced, remarried him, and the poor guy. Then I start falling apart. It was kind of weird because I would go to the house to pack because I my lease wasn't up for a couple more months, and every time I was there, I would get sick. I would feel sick. So that's why, it puts me back to the mold. But then my hip started really bothering me. I went out with some girlfriends from the church. We went to listen to some live music, and I told them my hips are hurting. I have appointment with the doctor. I go, and that's when it was like September of 24, September of 20, no, 23, September of 23. I started going to this doctor, and I started getting the hip injections, which is the cortisone in my hips. And I started feeling pain October, November, December, like through my body. And I kept thinking, this doesn't feel like fibromyalgia. And I was really struggling bad. My last shot in January of 24, the hip shots, I never went back after it because it hurt so bad when she injected. I screamed and I said, something's not right. And she goes, well, you're inflamed. I said, no, something's not right. And that's when I started down the path of, I'm really sick. And I started to gain some weight again. I started feeling things in my right thigh was the very first place I felt the lumps. And then I happened to put a bathing suit on in the spring, and it was like my thighs, the skin, it was sat like hanging off of me. And that's not, I knew it wasn't right. And the body pain was so bad that I literally laid in bed, Lauren, one night, and one day after work, I got through a work day because I still worked full time. Got through the work day, and I just laid in that bed, and the pain was so bad. I said, Lord, you can just go ahead and take me to heaven early. Like, I don't want to do this. I just don't want to do it. I won't do nothing to harm myself.
If tomorrow's like this, like,
I can't. I'm out.
yeah.
Make it stop. And that's when I started Googling again, because I had Googled back in the September at the rent house when things were weird. When I started feeling, and then when I started feeling the stuff in my leg, in my thigh, I started Googling like what that could be. And I actually went to a dermatologist, and she did what we're used to, Lauren. She blew me off because I said, it's one of these three things. And Dercum's was part of it. And she blew me off. And so I put it to bed and kept down the path. And here came that day. And I just sat up, and I just felt this overwhelming, like, no, start again. So I started Googling again, and I remembered, because, I've been researching, and I remembered reading the Dercum's disease, because I pulled that same thing up, and it's like, oh, let's go down this path again. Let's look at these three things. And I remember reading that Dercum's disease used to be called adiposis dolorosa. That's what I Googled and found a doctor that was in, it's close to Oklahoma border, but I'm close to Oklahoma. I mean, I'm really close to Oklahoma. I'd rather go up in the country roads to go to a doctor than I would downtown Dallas and be in traffic.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So that is when that's when I joined Dercum's disease Answers, was spring of 24. Wow. And it all just like went from there. Like, I found your site, and I started watching all the FDRS presentations, doing print screens, taking notes, my notes in the phone, and, paper. And I was
screenshots of this one and that one.
Screenshots galore. And I learned about Dr. Herbst from, from our group. That's where I learned. And I went to this doctor, and I said, I want to get set up with you because this is the path I'm told that I need to do. I need to set up with you so that when I go to Dr. Herbst, I can bring back her paperwork to you. Are you willing to follow her plan? And she said, Juanita, you're not my first Dercum's patient. And she said, I've had 3. And she said, 2 of them have brought me Dr. Herbst's paperwork. Well, I've been in the group long enough now that that is almost a miracle, you know, that I know that's a godsend. And so my husband said, let's go. We're going to Tucson. And that's what we did. My appointment was in July. I saw my doctor here. And I would say her name and I can, but I just want to say for everybody that watches this, she's like, can't take any new patients. She would, but she's that good. She doesn't have room. They won't let her take any more. Anyway, I got set up with her, and then that was June, and I went to Dr. Herbst in July of 24, and I was overwhelmed with her kindness, their office, how nice they were, but I also was overwhelmed because I didn't realize I had everything I had. You know, it's a lot when you just think you're going for Dercum's.
Yeah, you just need to digest. And I just kept researching and I found these different things on my own. But to have somebody lay it all on you in one day, that has to be, yeah.
It was a lot. So that was kind of what led me to, you know, what saved me too, is one of the things that saved me was our members kept saying, are you sure you don't have mast cell? Are you sure you don't have mast cell? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And, you know, I had, I remember who she is, Rachel. Rachel said, well, just take the generic antihistamine and take the generic, take the generic.
Right now, sweet pea.
And,
Go back to your room. Thank you. He likes my kickboxing stuff.
He looks like he's busy. He's on a mission, Mom.
Yes.
And so I did. I bought the generic acid reducer and the generic. Actually, I take a homeopathic Boreon. I never say it right, but it's
I love that brand. Yeah, they're the best.
Stuff, right? Yeah. So
all of it.
I started taking their allergy ones every day, along with the acid reducer, because I was getting the mast cell pain like in your back where I couldn't wear a bra. TMI, but I couldn't wear a bra. And she said, if it reduces your pain, then you probably have mast cell too. Well, I started taking it before I even went to Dr. Herbst, and my pain had decreased like at least 50%. And I was like, thank you. Thank you, Rachel. I was like so thankful to her. I still have her in my notes. I still have the link to her post about it. And so I do think about that all the time, because even Christy Mercer, she said the same thing. Are you sure you don't have mast cell? I remember a bunch of people, but I remember those 2 in particular that were big on saying that. So when I was diagnosed, you know, Dr. Herbst, like, you have mast. You definitely, if that medicine worked for you, you have mast cell. You can be tested. Here's what she can test you for, but that's not gonna, you know, half the time that the tests don't tell you.
Yeah, even the testing doesn't always work, and you can still have mast cell, though.
So,
all right. So that leads to the next one. How has your life changed since getting diagnosed?
Okay. Yeah, a lot. A lot. Because you don't realize that, well, you do realize that it's lifelong. I realized that, but you still think that you're going to be able to minimize, and that's really hard. It's hard when you continue to grow more lumps everywhere, you know. And then when they take blood out of this, and then I was getting lumps around where they take blood, because my mast cell is what drives my Dercums. I got the mast cell created the chaos in my body that created the Dercums, that created the lipedema, the lymphedema. And then I already had fibromyalgia, and then I have the Vikings, the Duprins. I don't know how to say it. But it changed because in ways of, I changed my diet first. I changed to the anti-inflammatory diet. So let's start with that. And the flares got more frequent the more that I was, the more disciplined I was with the anti-inflammatory diet, the sicker I got. And I didn't understand, because I said, I'm following what I'm supposed to do. So I got so bad through the year. I was getting brain fog worse, where I couldn't remember words that I knew what I wanted to say, but it wouldn't come out.
So frustrating.
And so frustrating. And, there were days that many days I worked from my bed, because I'm so blessed that I get to work from home, and I can put my laptop like that. I can work from anywhere. Right. So, and I was accomplishing, I wasn't falling short on anything. I probably could have done above and beyond, which is what I used to do, but I wasn't doing above and beyond, but I was getting through things. So that changed, right? The mentality of, I'm going to go above and beyond, to where I was like, you can't do that anymore. Like, you got to just do your job and log off. And, just kept on. It kept getting, through the whole of all 24, I kept getting sicker. And, then I had to go on leave. And that's what really changed my life. I've never been on leave in my life. I didn't even know how to go about it. I had fought that. I had looked into it like in September of 24. And then I was like, October. And then I was like, no. And then some things happened at work, and things just kept tumbling. And I couldn't do it. And because I couldn't think. And so I had to go on leave in January of 25. And I was on leave, spent the time, Lauren, researching more, like continuing to do more research, looking at more things, learning more things, especially with the mast cell, learning. So then I started rolling back the histamines. I was like, okay. And I started getting, the more sicker I got, the more the mast cell were like, I couldn't eat foods that had been sitting even in the refrigerator for 2 days, like one day, anything even defrosted and sitting. Like, I was really having to do all that. And then I was going to have to return to work. And I said, I can't. Like, I was 2 weeks shy of the date I needed to return to work. And I was there again, praying, going, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to tell them I can't do this. And I'm not a quitter. I'm a fighter. So it was really hard on me to say, I'm not going to be able to do this. And that's when I read Angela Parsons' post in our group. And it was 2 weeks before. And I was like, that's me. She started talking about the nightshades. Remember the tomato, the salsa, the iber.
I love tomato.
I know. She started talking about, the nightshades, not just the histamines, the high histamine foods, but the nightshades. And then she started talking about the high oxalates. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I remember. Do you remember the spinach kick where you put it in the kale? Kale, spinach in the protein shakes.
Oh yeah, the smoothies.
The smoothies. Well, I ended up at the doctor with blood in my urine. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, you know what? I did start this. And he was like, that's a high oxalate food and you're sensitive to it. I go, what's new? I'm always trying to look for things to be healthy and help me. And instead I would make myself sicker.
Mm-hmm.
So reading her stuff, I was like, the high oxalate, I forgot. oh my God, okay, the nightshades, okay, it's not just high histamine. And then she started talking about carnivore, and I was like, what? And so I just reached out to her in Messenger and I said, Angela, would you take time to talk to me? I need help, and I want to talk to you more about your post. This is me, and I want to understand what I need to do. And it was, I think, a Tuesday. And I said, I'm starting it tomorrow. She talked to me for 45 minutes, by the way. And that was like so nice of her. And so I made notes, and I was like, okay. And so the very next morning, Wednesday, it was a Wednesday, I started on carnivore. My brain fog was gone in 1 week.
Mhm.
1 week. I also, one of my mast cell, um, what do you call it? Symptoms. One of my mast cell symptoms is the one that is really hard for doctors to deal with, because they just want to say you're having anxiety, because you are having anxiety. You can have panic attacks and anxiety, and that was me. That was why I was getting that, from the little bit of mold and the casinos and things that had smoky rooms, smoky foods, is the mast cell. And so I was like, okay, my crying fits are gone. I wasn't, because my husband would be like, oh, did I do something wrong? What's wrong? Why are you crying?
You're like, nothing's
Nothing.
changed, nothing's wrong. All of a sudden, I'm a mess for
I
no
can't
reason.
stop crying, Yeah.
And
And yeah, so it was gone. So the two things that were stopping me from returning to work fully and feeling good about it were gone. And so I was able to return to work. And, barometric pressure still bothered me. I still had to, I had to make sure I was getting enough sleep, started to, monitor my stress. But, you know, going back to the bad hips and why I needed the cortisone shots is I have um, arthritis, tendonitis, bursitis in both hips. And then I have a tear in the right hip. While I was on leave, I went to a doctor to look into surgery for the hip. And he said, my sister has mast cell. And he goes, and my son has mast cell. And I said, that's amazing, because going to doctors that even know what mast cell is and Dercum's disease and all these things, and this is really amazing. And he said, I don't want you to have surgery. I want you to do physical therapy. He said, you would have to do so much prep work. I said, I know, it's on my Dr. Hertz paperwork, because, my Dr. Hertz paperwork is 7 pages and I take it to every doctor. And he looked at it, and because of what he knows with mast cell, he said, I would not have surgery on anything unless it was life-saving. He said, because your body would, I don't know what it would do to you. So that changed my life too, because I was doing so well that at that point, Lauren, like, you're like, oh, I got this, right? I'm doing good.
so bad, I got a handle on this.
I'm so good. I'm going to go on vacation.
See, I think that we end up blaming ourselves a lot when a lot of this, even though there's some that's in our control, a lot of it's out of our control. And so, like, I blame myself when I eat the food that I know that I'm not supposed to, but I need it. And I blame myself for this and that. And it's really, there's nothing that we can do besides the best that we can.
Right.
So of course you enjoyed your vacation. Of course you had fun.
I
But,
went up and down stairs that I shouldn't have done, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down stairs. And
But I mean, how are you supposed to meet the bar if the bar keeps changing every time?
exactly. And I kept having to, I realized that you just keep learning, and the bar keeps changing, and you keep learning.
And
and
the bar keeps
you
changing,
and
but
you
we keep
keep
moving forward.
screens and you keep doing research, keep doing it. And but you try not to leave anybody else behind,
Yeah.
you know? So that's been the key is instead of why me, I try to say, Lord, why me? What do you want me to do with this?
I think that he's definitely found a spot for you considering, where you started and where you are in the time frame. Like it's
It's
so
not
quick,
been that long.
everything.
I know, I know, I know. I just I had I didn't post anything, I really just was a sponge at first. And so
Yeah,
then when we
that's
did
what I
start,
did too.
yeah. And so that's why that's why we say what we say, right? We're like, oh, you're new. Okay, go put in your search words and go to YouTube. And, at that time though, I think, Lauren, I, the things that I have learned that are newer is the lymphatics,
Mhm.
the whole the lymphatics part of how important it was to keep that in check, right? Keep the fluid movement and
Right.
how
It
easily it'll
does have a
block.
lot to do with mast cell as well as a lot of it's so involved in our bodies and so little is understood about it.
I
Like
know.
we still don't understand why fat is the way that it is. We don't understand a lot about the human body and interstitial space, and it's crazy.
Yep.
So I think as we learn more and you and I learn more and we learn more as a
Mhm.
group, maybe that can help us all.
Exactly. And, and again, even, oh gosh, that coming back from that vacation, that flare, I'm barely coming out of it. So we're talking way over a month and a half
Hmm.
of just bad pain, but it's way better. Um, but just what I've learned from it, like I've been posting the breath, the breathing techniques and how the nervous system and the brain and everything's tied together, and that sometimes the pain that you might be experiencing isn't really what the why you're like what happened in the flare, like what did you flare up, was it your back, your hip, your this, it could be worse because your body's already always in fight or flight if you don't reset the nervous system and the brain through the breathing. And again, that's brand new. Like I just am learning that. And I'm just, again, trying to help others with it.
We
That's
don't
just
really consider how stressful the modern environment is. We
exactly.
used to live in small groups. It wouldn't, we knew everyone, and not all of this news and stuff would attack us from outside and bombard us every day with images and noise. So it's no wonder that our nervous systems are a mess.
I know. And the foods, more oxalates in the foods,
Ugh,
the
why
food.
do we have to put corn in everything?
I
I mean,
don't
I know this is America, but why does corn have to go in everything?
everything. I'm telling you, you know, I, and it's so funny too, because you think about even the corn thing. You're like, I have diverticulosis. I wonder why. Because I ate popcorn and I thought corn was okay, and I ate all that stuff, you know? And then it's like another thing. Your body just was like rejecting corn because corn was my biggest trigger. Popcorn and corn. The kernels
Yeah.
in that. It was like I could eat nuts. My nuts wasn't my problem. It was the corn. So it's just, yeah, you think back over you know, the whole time of being sick and you go, okay, I've had mast cells since I was little, right? Probably had lots of steroids and antibiotics being sick and then it just adds to that and just adds to that and adds to
The
that.
environment, the toxins, like everything that you're exposed to in your life that we now know that you don't really get rid of. A
Exactly.
lot of stuff stays in our systems and, our body does its best.
And that is something that Angela had posted on my post. She commented on my post about the toxins, because that's true. It all plays a part, you know, it plays a part with everything else. And it's a lot to keep up with. It's a lot to learn, and it's a lot to balance. So learning to, I, and I'm not going to, mention names because we're all different. We're completely all different. But when I see people that are trying really hard in our group to still exercise, I just want to say, be careful, because it's still our bodies consider that as trauma
Mhm.
if you're
Right.
overdoing it.
I love to work out. I really do. Like, I never thought that I would until I started kickboxing and weightlifting, and I absolutely love it.
Sure.
But that is how I ended up finding out about myself, is because I overexercised. I was trying to make my body get past that one point where I was stuck, and I would do an hour a day. That wasn't enough. So then I would split it up and do like an hour and then another half hour until I was just bedridden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've gotten past that. But but see, let's go back to the whole trip. If I was really in that, if I had the experience to know better, I would have said, don't put us on the second floor. Don't, I would have made done different, right? Because I already knew, like, I don't do the exercising that I used to do. I don't, I consider my jacuzzi tub, when
Oh, yeah.
it's big, and I exercise in it,
Sure. That's
and
perfect.
I consider it exercise that I'm able to sweep the patio, and I'm able to water my plants, and I'm able to sweep the inside of the house and mop and do laundry, the whole
Right.
picking, pulling, you're picking, you're pulling. Like, I'm just like, if I could just stay active with my day to day and that the house doesn't fall apart, I feel that that's exercise when it comes to us.
Right. That's a solid good day. You got your chores done, you got your work done, you got your, like that's a solid day.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is a change of just, not knowing not to push myself. Most of the time I know better now.
Yeah.
So, and just knowing that I have to keep up with the maintenance of the maintenance is a
Yeah.
full-time job of everything we have to do. Is just, I have our extra room. If a guest comes, I'm gonna have to pull everything off that bed because I've got the whole, the Limpa press pantsuit, and then I have one of those sleeping bags that have it's like a
Oh,
sleeping bag
the,
on
the
it.
infrared one?
It's with the hot stones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like a sauna,
Hmm.
but it's a bag. I have that laying, and then I do have a red light that overlooks, and the whole bed is just full of stuff. And then behind me, I've got a walking pad, which if I could even just do 5 minutes every once in a while. And then I've got my vibration plate in here too. There's a vibration plate over here. Um, and then just the castor oil mixed with my, um, lidocaine cream, and
Mm,
mix the
mhm.
two together. But now I'm going to add frankincense
Never
because
thought of that.
frankincense I'm
Yeah.
going to add.
I
Yeah,
put
mix it
frankincense
together.
in my bath too with Epsom salts.
Epsom salt is in my bath. I do the unscented because I can't trust any of the ingredients because of the
Yeah.
matte smell. So and that was hard too. Okay, going through the pantry and going through all of my shower stuff, and
Oh,
letting my hair go from brunette with my little blonde highlights, going to gray. I just was like, I'm gonna get rid of chemicals as much as I can.
yeah, you got to keep your bucket as empty as you
Bucket.
can.
Love my bucket terminology. I know somebody will say, what do you mean your buckets? You want to make sure your bucket's not overflowing. And I said, it's a mass cell terminology.
Because then
And
it could be anything that set it off.
100%.
I like to
Anything.
at least know, like try to figure it out, okay, what was new, what happened around that time. So if you know that you're at a certain level, you know roughly when it was, not if you're completely bombarded and have no idea what it was.
Exactly. Um, the good news, though, there's good in the change too. I mean, I do have to be, Lauren. I have to be super disciplined. I mean, even like one day I didn't feel good. What was happening? I don't know. I was not feeling good, and I sure I had some chicken broth, and it was organic chicken broth, but the whole celery stalk and onion and all that stuff in it. I had anxiety the very next morning.
Wow.
I mean, I can't even have that, like, to a point. Like, I let my bucket was overflowing, obviously, because I was wanting it. I was craving it.
Yeah.
When you don't
Like
feel
you're just
good,
like, I need this. And then like it rears up and bites you and you're like, what was that? I
I
didn't get
like
what I
5
wanted.
glasses of a 7-Up, and I had the chicken broth, and I paid for it, you
Yeah.
know? Um,
Yesterday, what got me was vegetable oil, believe it or not.
vegetable oil. Yeah, I
It
know.
was in like I put it in as like a replacement for just like butter because this was a particular thing, and I had abdominal pain the whole next day.
Yeah, that's a symptom of mine too, is I can't eat beef, like beef.
Mm.
Um,
How do
it,
you do carnivore without any beef?
Good question.
I
I
because I
don't-
rely heavily. I've always been low carb, so some beef like ground beef is cheap, and that's how I get by.
it's a carnivore concept that I'm on,
Okay.
but I just can't do the beef side of things. I do game. I do venison and
Okay.
bison.
I
Um,
love venison and bison. Oh,
yes,
there's
and
elk.
bison will
Elk though is the king of all meats.
elk but I don't have that. I don't have the resource I don't have that
My
hookup.
my dad occasionally will give me some of his, and so
Oh,
so good.
the summer sausage is so good. I love elk summer
It's so
sausage, or the sticks, or
I've
the
had that before too.
yes, so good. So now I eat chicken,
Mhm.
and I eat pork, and more white meat pork, and I eat turkey, and then I eat bison and venison.
So
Now the
just
good
every
thing,
other critter, just not the beef.
correct, it's not beef.
And you don't do fish either? You're not
I
big
do
on
fish.
fish?
I do fish.
You do
Yeah,
fish?
sushi is my cheat, because white rice is you can have some white rice. White rice does not affect me. Excuse me. It doesn't trigger me. And blueberries, I can have a little handful of blueberries. Blueberries don't bother me. But so yes, I'm a sushi fanatic, and I do love fish. So
Okay,
yes,
so it's just the beef. I don't think you'll miss out too much.
that's right. I do. But what's funny though, Lauren, I mean, when I had fibromyalgia, I went plant based, which
Oh,
I was plant based. So I was making myself sicker, you see,
yeah.
through that. Just, oh my gosh. Yeah,
All
to
of the
think,
diets, all of the
to think
diets.
about just the fat of and I'm not saying it's, for some people it's good for them, because we're all made differently.
Mhm.
I mean, all of us are made differently. But for me, no, plant based made me sicker, and I didn't even know it. So when people haven't talked to me, or I'm filling them in, and when I say I'm doing carnivore, and they're like, wait a minute, you
Whoa.
went from here to here. What are you talking about?
I'm
You're
just trying to feel better. That's all.
I know, but what made me feel better is like, can't have any of that stuff. That's the stuff that makes me sick. It's crazy.
But we
So
grew up in such a crazy diet era to begin with. It was so bonkers. It was no fat, low fat, take out the sodium. Let's put back in the fat. Like,
That's my age
milk
group.
is good, milk is bad.
Oh God, I remember the non-fat, non-fat, non-fat.
Oh, Sam.
Wheat
Oh,
and just yeah, right. And I grew up in Southern California. We were fruity. We were granola. We were supposed to be thin, and we ate like that. We ate lots of granola for real. Like, what was that? Carob. With carob.
Oh man, if I never see carob again in my life.
And yogurt, like the
Oh,
frozen yogurt.
yeah.
You know what frozen yogurt did to me? This is what I mean by every turn of the way. And this is probably TMI again because it's gross, but I got boils from eating too much frozen yogurt. I had a boil on my eyebrow,
Oh
under my
no.
chin, in between my thighs. No one could, the doctors were like, I don't know what's happening to you. But again, I had to, at that age, I was young. I wasn't even 21 yet. I had to figure it out. And I was like, it's dairy, it's the yogurt. It's that kind of yogurt. It's the whatever, the mix, whatever was in that. And I still, to this day, though, am like, I have breakout right here, right now. My mast cell causes, or when we talk about the lymphatics, one of my triggers, or whatever, not triggers, but my symptoms is my my lymphatic fluid comes out in my, like, I have the little, they thought it was
Like water blisters almost, like little teeny tiny ones.
No, they
I
get
do.
big. They
Oh,
get
see,
big. They
mine will
would get,
say super teeny tiny, like teeny tiny, but you're like, what is that? Like, that's weird.
yeah. So when I would eat nuts, peanut butter, anything of oils, and then anything citrus. So even with mast cell, like, I can't do the vitamin C. I can't do some of the things that are supposed to be a stabilizer. I can't have a lot of the stabilizers because I can't I can't do the acid in the citrusy stuff.
Um,
Yeah, I was on a lemon kick because remember, we're supposed to have lemon in our water.
oh yeah.
I got burning tongue from that.
Oh no.
Yeah, every turn, and people be like, "What is wrong with you? You are so sensitive to everything." And I'm just like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but this is me. This is what happens to me. Every
Which is
turn.
so important to remember, that even with any specific one of these things that we have as comorbidities, that all of them have an entire range, an umbrella. Ehlers-Danlos has this huge umbrella. So does mast cell, where it can affect anything from inside and outside of your body. You can have a reaction. It can make you anxious, even things inside your brain. It's, yeah.
I, yeah, it's crazy.
So,
And that's why I know even in our Dercum's group, we do talk about what to help our Dercums, but it's too hard to just concentrate only on Dercums when our members are suffering with more, and it all goes together, and you have to consider all of it. You can't just consider the Dercums because there's very few people that there's very few that I know, and I know there's some, but that only have Dercums. I don't know of many though, right? We don't.
I don't know of anybody who is solidly just Dercums.
Okay.
They've either got a touch of the Ehlers-Danlos or hypermobility syndrome, or they've got mast cell, or there's,
Or
or
they
they're
don't know.
on that road to discovery of
Yeah, they
research
don't know it.
about themselves,
Yeah,
and they're
there's
not
some
there yet.
don't
Because
know
Dr. Herbst just on one day just completely info dumped on you, right? And the rest of
yet.
us kind of figure it out
It
here
was
and there.
7 pages.
I had
Yeah.
more time to accept and kind of warm up to and
Yeah.
realize instead of all on one day.
All on one day. It was,
Not
yeah.
not that that's bad, it's just a lot to take in.
It was a lot to take in, especially because I was like, what do I do for that? And what do I do for that? And what do I do for that? And you know, yeah. And gosh, my doctor, thank God, she just was so good to me. And she's not, she's not like, she would be like, I'd go in there and be like, I'm dealing with this. And I'd be crying. And she was just kind of like, okay. And so when I finally got started on carnivore and got better, you could tell that it helped her when I would come in, because she was
Oh.
like, oh, okay, good. She's not crying. And then she started lightening up and talking to me because she didn't know what to do with my emotions.
Mhm.
Emotions aren't for everybody, you know?
Well, and there's very little, like it's a doctor-patient thing where you may not feel like you can touch or comfort them because of the role that you're in. So it's a weird space for them professionally.
100% is. It is. But it's funny because she's opened up and we talk more about just normal things now, because I'm able to go in there and be like, yeah, things are better. But yeah, so I just I I know that everything that happens to me, um, I'm able to use it to help others. And again, I know I'm circling back to that, but it's truly, if I know that I have to go through it, and because I have to really feel it. How can I sympathize and be empathetic if I haven't went through it? Now I could get teary
Yeah. Uh, we're
because
doing it.
it hurts. It can be. There's been days of just so much pain that you just go, what kind of pain is this? This is, wow. You just don't
Well,
realize.
it's different when you used to wake up and maybe the pain would be different the next day or gone instead of the
Yeah.
same every
Ooh,
day. And so
ev-
I tried to remind everybody, I was like, they're like, I don't want to upset Juanita. And I'm like, I don't think that she's upset. I think that she's had the same pain every day for a month now. And no matter who you are, it drives you a little crazy because you're just waiting for that particular, it's switch it up, stop, do something else.
that was that flare was really hard. This last one was really hard. I will not lie, and I know you guys knew it and saw it. It was hard because it was like back to that pain in the bed of, and I thought, please. I mean, I was on the edge again, and I was like, I can't, I can't go back here. Like, how do we fix this? And again, but going through it, now I've learned more about the nervous system, and you know, and the breathing, and just how important. Because I mean, people have said that to me for probably since fibromyalgia. Breathing, meditate, breathe, meditate, ground. I didn't really know how much, like, or the why or the how it was really going to help me. Like, why was it going to help me? Putting those pieces together was like, you know.
But I think the way that you're sharing what you've learned is much more helpful because it's not just breathe or meditate, it's very
No,
descriptive, specific,
exactly my
just
point.
instructions instead of just being like, go do yoga, meditate, take some vitamins.
I, I didn't learn. I didn't learn of why and how, and then now seeing the progress of the change in my stress level, I'm like, it works. It really works. And that's the thing, though. If I could get everyone to understand even further why it's important, is again, once your body is dealing with chronic pain, you may be through a flare, but you still may be feeling chronic pain, and it may be because you haven't reset. If you're not resetting, your body is still in fight or flight, and you're gonna, any little thing. It could be just a small headache and you're going to have a migraine with, body pain because you didn't reset everything else, the nervous system, the brain, and what the flare is from, fixing all of it together. I'm literally blown away. I'm like, okay, that's why I had that bad flare, and now I get it. And now we move on, and we just hope that we do all the right things. But we have to remember that's the thing, is we get caught off guard. If we're healthy without chronic, heavy, hard pain for too long, then we get a little bit carried away and we forget all of the things to watch, right? And this right here,
normal.
that apple pie that I made my husband for, because I felt good and I made it.
Yeah.
Well, except the bottom. I literally, Lauren, had 2 bites, 2 different nights. He gave me one piece, 2 nights, and I got this from that.
Oh yeah.
The sugar and the green apples,
but sometimes it's worth it.
It was worth it. It was worth it. This I can handle.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, that was worth it. Just a bite. It didn't mess with my anxiety. I didn't have any problem. My bucket was empty, right? But just that whole the apples, I guess, and the sugar, it came out in my face. So, I still have to watch what I do there, and whether the environment in the wintertime will also cause me to have these.
Oh,
interesting, right? Just
so specifically in Texas.
Yes.
So it's the humidity maybe plus the cold, or I don't know.
I don't know what in the air.
Where I grew up in California, it was perfect for my skin and hair, and everywhere that I've moved since, it's not happy.
Can you imagine being an 80s girl leaving dry California? Because back then it was dry.
No, your Aquanet will never set. It will never set in the humidity. No.
I came here and I was like, oh my, what am I going to do? It was horrible. And there wasn't a nail salon on every corner. There wasn't, a little cheaper clothes stores. I didn't have that. I didn't have, it was pretty desolate when I moved here compared to now. But yes, this whole 80s, the hair, I had to really get used to not having it. It was definitely a change. Yeah. There was no need to put the Aquanet in my hair, because then it would be humid with the Aquanet in it. And that is just yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get back to the list.
Sure.
What if doctors were watching this, what would you want to tell doctors that are questioning maybe for their patients or?
Okay. Doctors that don't know, do your research, listen, and believe people. Do the research. How can you not believe somebody and shame them into feeling crazy if you really haven't done the research? At least take the time. If we can use Copilot and learn as much as we've learned, like it's like helped our research. It's like put it on steroids. Doctors can do that too. And read what we give you, because now we are teaching our members to take things to the doctors. Read it. Don't discount them. Have your staff send an email to the doctors that maybe wrote the paper.
Yeah, Dr. Herbst will happily talk to other professionals. She's very open to talking to other medical professionals about.
And she has people in her office too.
That's absolutely 100% true.
Stop making the patient feel crazy because we're not. And that's the biggest thing. You know, when I had to tell my general doctor what I had, I literally did a virtual appointment because I wanted her to look me in my eyes. I was too sick to go, but I wanted her to look in my eyes and watch me cry. And I wanted to read all of my research that I had put in a high level for her. And she started to cry and she could not deny it. But there are people that are so sick that we're all different. I just have that way about me. We have people that don't have that way about them. They are in a shell. They're so in so much pain, and they have put themselves into their shell that they can't communicate well either. And I hate that for them, you know, because just that I have such empathy for them that don't have the ability to, you know, I do this for a living, Lauren. I talk to people. Like, that's my job is, you know, building relationships and communicating and asking a lot of questions and getting the right answers. And how did you get in here? Boone's in here. So don't bark.
You have a puppy?
Yeah, puppy's in here. Yeah, he must have let him in here. Yeah. So that's what I say to the doctors is listen.
And then what would you like to say to other Dercum's patients?
Don't panic. Don't panic. Panic is the natural thing to do. Don't get me wrong. I know it's a natural thing for us to do is to panic. When you're in a lot of pain, you panic. Reach out. Don't ever isolate. Reach out to the group. You know, I don't care how bad whatever you're going to say is, say it. Let us help you. Let others help you. You know, and be open. I know that we have we have some that they, you know, we're just giving because we're on our own paths, right? But our moderators and admins, we're on our own path, but just be very open to also try things. So Dercum's patients, try things, be open to try things. And I know that people might hear that from me and say, that's easy for you to say because you probably can afford it. I already can hear it. There are things you can do that don't cost a lot of money. The breathing, right? The breathing, the grounding. Take your shoes off and get in the grass. Get in that Epsom salt. You can find Epsom salt, plain Epsom salt for what, $4-5 a bag at the most.
$5 for a 3-pound bag.
Do the Epsom salt. If we got to pick the cheap things, get the dry brushes. Go to the dollar store and get dry brushes. You don't even have to get it on Amazon. Go get the dry brushes. Watch the YouTube videos. YouTube is free. Watch the YouTube videos. Teach yourself how to do the manual lymphatic drainage. Listen to us when we tell you that the lymphatic system is very, very, very important. If you're not doing that, and when you're posting and asking, like, I hurt behind my knees and under my arms, and I'm swelling, and we know it's your lymphatic system. And even if you're working on it and then you go, I'm doing good, if you stop, it's going to come back because there we go. I knew that bark was going to come. You go see your dad.
So cute. Yeah, my two are asleep right now. You don't care.
Mine won't go to sleep without me. They're like, come on, Mom. No, so yeah, I, you know, there's a lot of things I would say, but just in the experience, I know that it cost a lot of money to try things.
Some things do cost a lot of money to try. That is true. Some things are inexpensive. I've been doing a lot of the stuff. I got one of those little dumb, it's a
Little
red
diaper.
light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's a red light. It's got the prongs on it. It's the new
Yeah.
like lymphatic heated brush thing, but I found it cheaper on Amazon. So I've been trying
Mhm.
that out to try something new. I have
Yeah.
to be
I
very
carried that
gentle
on
with my
vacation.
tissues.
Yes. That's what
So
it took me on vacation is that
mm,
handheld. So put the red light on and put the
that's
vibrator
I've been
on.
running it back through here because I'm not gonna get the surgery until my husband comes back home. I can't have
Gotta have
anybody
hope.
else. I just don't feel comfortable with anybody else in that kind of state. So, I
I
mean,
don't blame you. I don't
because they're
blame
gonna
you.
have to put me like under to get those. This is not a local thing. This is in the muscle, and I don't feel comfortable around anybody else at that level of sedation, you know?
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's another thing too, morphine.
Oh, yeah, no.
Morphine. People, I've had nurses, I'm like, I'm still in pain. And they're like, okay, well, we'll give you some morphine. I said, if you give me morphine, I'm going to talk your ear off and it's not going to relax me.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to sleep for 24 hours. And they said, oh, come on. They didn't believe me. And they were like, I don't see people like that very often. Like I said, I told you.
So getting my wisdom teeth taken out, she's like, okay, this shot should do it, right? It gives you the shot to put you under. I am still talking to her after the third shot about movies that had come out. And she's staring at me like I'm some sort of circus animal, you know? And I'm like, I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you. I'm still wide awake, lady.
So crazy. Lavender wakes me up too. It's supposed to be, but it's
Oh, I love
supposed to relax
like a
us.
zesty lavender, but it doesn't make me sleepy, no.
No, it wakes me up. In other words, like I've literally stayed up all night when I was traveling for work in my younger years. I had fibromyalgia, so it was around 2017 or somewhere in there. But I was learning about all the essential oils, and I carried it with me on a trip, and I put it on my pillow because I was going to be so excited to have a good night's sleep, and I didn't sleep all night, and I had to go into a government office with no sleep. Yeah. So no lavender, anything after 3 o'clock. That's hilarious, right? I can drink iced coffee and I'm
Right.
okay after 3 o'clock, but I cannot have lavender.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You got any more questions on that list?
I think we actually, in a roundabout way, kind of cover all of them because I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I think we did it. How do you feel? I didn't make you cry too much. So, see, I'm not a mean lady.
No, no, you're not mean at all. You're one of the warmest people that's in my life. You're very warm. And
I
that's
can't believe it's amazing. I did not know your full story of like finding the group and of it really like helping you that much. It's really amazing.
really
Um, like with all the
it.
talking and the hanging out that we have all done, I even I get to know your full story today, so that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I've never really shared it. And something else, to just and this will be very brief, but it's important, is that I am, even my family is not really aware. I mean, my family is, but like the rest of my relatives and things, I don't think they realized how hard of a life it was for me having deaf parents. Both of them were deaf, and then mom and dad divorcing at 7. My mom only had 2 years of education her whole life. And so I
Wow.
was dependent on to count money to go pay bill, help her. We'd walk, we didn't have a car, go pay bills. I, would interpret at um, the public assistance offices, uh, all of the, even when they were getting a divorce, the lawyer's office, I did interpret.
Oh
I
no.
I knew my brothers and mine and my mom's social security numbers by heart at 10 years old. So, and in between there's a lot that went on. So a lot of childhood trauma, which caused me to get into the drinking a little more heavily than just, you're hanging out with your friends type of thing. And
Self-medicate. Like I realized that I was self-medicating with a
yeah,
lot of this stuff,
yeah, yeah, a lot of self-medicating.
There's
And
so much responsibility thrust upon you,
so,
Juanita. I mean, I was just a latchkey kid responsible for myself. That's all I had going on. But
yeah, well, I had to get away from it. I had to move from California I had to move to Texas and stay here.
yeah,
Um, I had to, that was the only way I was going to be able to build my own life.
true.
Um, and it was a good thing that I did it. But that's part of it. I just want you guys to know, like, the trauma, it's real, and it can affect your body, and it can really affect, so all the trauma going into then, being a heavy drinker with, as a wino and just drinking a lot. And when you got mast cell, you don't know it. You're a wino.
Can you
Woo!
imagine? Yeah,
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. And then, going through the divorce, after 30 years, that was a lot.
yeah.
So, and then getting sober and thinking,
Right. At the
again,
same time.
getting sober and getting, but everything's going to get better, right? And it didn't. It did for a little bit, but you know, um, I I definitely know how to help, pay forward a lot of things from, my upbringing with deaf parents. And the good thing is though that I have a kid at church that I'm able to, I can sign with him. He
Oh, nice.
hard of hearing, and so I get to sign with him. Um, and but both of my parents, yeah, are deceased. But anyway, remarried, and both of us have healed our trauma. He had trauma too, and we're both sober. And, alcohol was both of our things that we couldn't fight off, and so both sober and 3 years. He's over 3 years. He's 2 months ahead of me. So yeah,
Overachiever.
only life. Huh? I know.
Overachiever, 3 months
Overachiever.
ahead. But see,
Yeah.
now you are the people that you're supposed to be happy together now.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a whole different life. Like, there's no fighting. There's no, we sit down and talk. Like,
Yeah.
everything's perfect all the time, but the way we handle things are amazing, right? And we both serve at church. We go to the same church, and we love our church, and we serve, and like, you know, it just, everything's in sync. Like, we talk things out, and we're usually on the same page, or we meet
And
in the
it's
middle.
easy, like it's supposed to be.
Easy. There's no trauma. There's no stress, you know? Yeah. But let me tell you, it, it takes that to have, to go through, supporting a wife that has what I have.
It's not easy.
I don't, he, I don't know how many, I know it's hard on relationships and families. I was there. Like, I know how hard, and families don't understand, not having that support is really hard. Um,
Yeah.
I'm fortunate in that manner. So I may have had a lot of hardships growing up, and, a lot of things, but I now have a supportive family, and a supportive church family, and a supportive my job. I love my job. Like, and I love everyone I work with. Oh my God, why am I going to cry about that? I love
'Cause
everyone I work
it's hard
with.
to cry. You realize that,
So
your
I
life
just,
is actually great,
I,
except for, the chronic pain and that stuff. But other than
right.
that,
Other than that, but I know that there are many of our members that have all of those things combined, and I just can't imagine. I have empathy for that.
yeah.
It's just way too much. So, all right. Well, that was an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm not trying to cut us short, but I am. I feel like I've
I
told it
think
all.
that
I don't think I have
it's
anything
time to do it.
else.
Thank
I
you
think
so much, Juanita. It was
thank
very
you.
generous of you to share your story, and it was a lot. And I hope that you get some good rest tonight and that this releases some stress.
Of
And that,
course.
you know,
I'm gonna go breathe.
yeah.
Go do my breathing. All right. Well, Lauren, thank you for taking the time. All right. Good night.
Bye.